Hi, everyone. Welcome to Beryl Leads. My name is Lisa. I'm with Beryl Consulting Group. And today on my right, we're honored to have Mr. Peter Culver, the co-founder of Wealthrive. So, hello.
Hi, Lisa.
How are you doing?
Good. Thank you very much.
Please, maybe tell us about Wealthrive.
Sure. So Wealthrive is a tax strategy firm that specializes in helping investors and other high net worth investors minimize their taxes. Income taxes, capital gains taxes, and in some cases, estate taxes.
Very necessary and very intellectual. All right. We're honored to have you today. We have some questions that we wanted to ask you. So thank you so much for your participation. So first, how important are taxes in managing your investments?
So the short answer is they're super important. Most investors focus on top line returns. Those might be 10%, 12%, if they're really lucky, 20%. Most investors pay no attention to after-tax returns. Income tax returns in many states are 30, 40, 50%. So just comparing that math, you can see how important it would be not just to get a good top-line return, but to get a good after-tax return. Most investors are very familiar with compounding. If I earn 8% this year and 8% next year and 8% the following year, if you run the same math, but if I save 50% this year and save 50% next year and save 50% the following year, the math is even more powerful. So we work to educate investors about that and then to take the steps to minimize the taxes.
I see. And just to lay the foundation, they are different. They vary among states, right?
Yeah. So at the federal level, income taxes and capital gain taxes are the same. At various states, they're very much different. So Florida has no income tax. California has a 13% income tax on top of the 37% federal tax. So that's why in certain states, California, 30% federal, 13% state, that's a 50% tax bite. So that's how we try and help investors.
We see the importance with the numbers.
Yeah.
All right. What can an investor do before making an investment to minimize taxes?
So I think there are two aspects of that. There's some very simple things that they might do. If I own an investment inside an IRA account, a pension plan, those are so-called tax-deferred accounts. So while the investment is inside that structure, it pays no taxes. But when it is ultimately distributed, it's taxed as ordinary income. So you're sort of postponing a bad tax. With a lot of investors, we use a special structure, which is called a private placement life insurance policy. If an investment is held inside that structure, it pays no taxes whatsoever. No income taxes, no capital gain taxes. If the client wants to take money out of the structure, there's no tax. So there's an immediate difference from an IRA. If I take money out of an IRA, I have to pay ordinary income tax. If I take it out of a private placement life insurance policy, there's no tax. And the private placement contract holding the investment can be put in what's called a dynasty trust, which means it'll never pay estate taxes. So it's literally a way to hold an investment and pay no taxes while the investor is alive or after they die and pass it along to their heirs.
Are there any requirements to construct this private placement?
So there are a couple. It might be a little bit longer than the discussion today, but it's something that we specialize in. I would say that there is some structuring that needs to be done. The advantage is it's applicable both to traditional investments, stocks, bonds, things like that, and to alternative investments, which is of great interest to the people here today. So hedge funds, private credit, private debt, private equity, even businesses, even real estate can all be held inside this structure. And so I did a little example. The math is pretty amazing. Imagine you had a $5 million investment and it earned 12% a year. So top line, your return would be 5 million times 12 is 600,000. If you own that investment in your own name in California, you'd pay half of the return to the state of California. Your 600 would go to 300.
Right.
If you hold that investment inside the private placement contract, you pay no taxes. And if you run that out over just a 5-year period of time, that's about a $2 million advantage to having the investment inside the private placement life insurance contract. So can be very, very powerful for investors.
That does sound powerful. And it helps with the state tax or as well as the federal tax as a whole.
Correct. So often what people do is put all of that structure, the investment, which is inside the private placement contract, inside what's called a dynasty trust, which means after their death, there's no estate tax on the issue.
Very crucial to
super powerful
investors.
Yep.
Yes. All right. Next question we have for you. What can an investor do after realizing large income or a capital gain to reduce taxes?
Sure. So I'd say there are two examples. They depend upon whether the nature of the income is ordinary income or capital gain income. Ordinary income typically taxed at a much higher rate. So just as one example, there are many examples. We use a strategy called a charitable asset donation. And the one that we like is you can purchase at a discount a charitable donation that would reduce your taxable income by 60%.
60%.
So imagine I made $1 million. Again, if I live in California, I'm going to pay $500,000 in taxes.
Right.
I can write a check for 120, 20% of the 600, but it will essentially eliminate the tax on the 600. So a very nice way to bring down the income that you pay taxes on. Now, the flip side is, let's say I have a big capital gain. I bought a building, I have a business, I bought NVIDIA, whatever it is, and it's at a huge gain, and I'm now going to sell that asset. Now, the capital gains tax is not as high. The federal tax is 20, but some terrible states, hate to pick on California all the time, but they tax capital gains just like income. So we're back to my same example. I have $1 million capital gain, but California is going to tax that at about 40%. So there are two ways to address that. One is there are opportunities to purchase in the marketplace what are called net operating losses, NOLs. They will offset 25% of your gain. And you can buy them at a very steep discount. So all of these things involve the basic situation where rather than sending my money to the government in taxes, I take less of it and invest in a tax strategy and get to keep some of the money. So that's a great strategy for someone who can sort of stand a little bit more complexity. Another way to offset a capital gain is we use a strategy that creates trading losses. So most people buy investments to make money, right?
Yeah.
They buy a stock, they sell a stock, they make money. There are opportunities to acquire losses in the marketplace, which then offset the gain. So I think the short message is often reducing taxes is more powerful than maximizing your return because tax rates are so high. There are many strategies to address income taxes, capital gains taxes, and love to talk to people about that if they're interested.
Yes, of course. And thank you so much for talking about the tax strategies. And how can we learn more about tax strategies applicable to investments, especially given your example for people who live in California?
New York. We have a whole list of bad tax states. California, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York. There are lots of good tax states, Florida, Texas. If people would like more information, I think what's going to happen is Videk is going to put some slides in with this. And so the listeners will see on the slide my phone number and my email address. happy to have anybody reach out directly. The other thing they'll offer is there'll be a link to what we call our tax profile form. And if someone who's interested just gives us some very basic information about their situation, we'll give them a no cost, no obligation initial analysis of the savings we think we could get for them. So love to hear from anybody who's interested in reducing their taxes.
Thank you so much, Peter Culver, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa.